Welcome to IVF This, episode 143, IVF and Connection. Hello, 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 my beautiful friends. I had a little extra mustard on that one if you get to see the video. I hope you are all doing so well today. I am doing beautifully. I'm just going to jump in today's topic, which is around connection, and mostly around feeling like an outsider during the IVF or infertility process, right? And I realized that I've never really talked about feeling like an outsider during IVF specifically, right? We've talked a little bit about it, but specifically talking about that. And when I think it's probably one of the most universal experiences for anyone who's experienced infertility, miscarriage, fertility treatments, anything like that, right? So first, let me say, you're not an outcast. But I know that feeling so viscerally, so gutturally, right? So I'm going to share with you what you can do about that so you don't have to always feel like you're an island unto yourself. So the first thing I want you to understand is that our brain has a built-in negativity bias, right? I've talked about that on the show before. There's a whole episode called the negativity bias. And it's for our survival. This is a good thing. Our brain is constantly on the lookout for threats and dangers or anything that could hurt or kill us, right? That is like the number one job of our brain. So in modern times, in the modern times that we live in, unless you are in a war-torn country like Syria or you're in Gaza or something like that, there aren't that many external dangers and threats that could really kill us. And I've talked a lot about that on the podcast too, right? We don't have the same environmental dangers now that we did millions, thousands of years ago as our brain was evolving, right? There used to be a time where it was literally dangerous to walk outside of the cave that you lived in. There were animals and people trying to kill you. So it really was a much more dangerous place to live than it is now. And now it's not so dangerous, but because that negativity bias is so tightly enmeshed in our brains didn't change, right? Our brain is still looking out for all of those dangers. And now the dangers translate more into social threats, right? Emails, people rejecting us, people saying thoughtless or asinine things, people judging us, rejection, things like that. Those all feel like threats to our survival, to the part of our brain that is old and predisposed to focus on the negative. It's a good thing that that part of our brain exists. We actually want that part of our brain because we don't want, within the context of our survival, to give equal weight to amazing things, right? We really want it to pay attention to things that could keep us alive, could be dangerous to us. But knowing that's how our brain works is really powerful, right? We want to be able to go, okay. And I have to do this to myself a lot, especially like when I'm in traffic or running late, is to actually tell myself, okay, am I in actual danger? And when I tell you that I have to do this a lot when I'm in traffic or running late, I am not, that is not in jest. I have to remind myself, I have to ask myself and challenge that thought. Are you in actual danger, right? If being 4 minutes late to something your life is not in jeopardy here, Emily, right? I know it feels like my brain is hyper-focusing on something here, but what am I actually in danger of, right? Where is my danger? Does that perceived threat translate into an actual threat? And where is that showing up in my life? Because sometimes it can be as subtle as the case of feeling like an outcast as an IVFer, feeling like you are different from others, which in a way we are, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't have to seem like it's a big threat. It's subtle, but it's there. And we are living in a world where very few actual conversations, human-to-human conversations happen. Most of the information that we get about the people in our lives and how they're doing or how other IVFers doing, how mothers are doing, right? What that looks like, we're getting it from social media. And guess what people aren't posting on social media? Guess what? how the couple that got pregnant seemingly after a month of trying have been fighting and their relationship is at an all-time low. And even though she's pregnant and seemingly easy to get pregnant, she feels completely alone. How about your friends, your real friends, the people that you love and you know love you back, that they worry about saying the quote unquote wrong thing. And they worry about it so much that it causes them to completely shut down and not even reach out. And then they chastise themselves for not being a good friend or for being a terrible friend, which causes them to isolate or shut down even more. How your sister or sister-in-law is freshly pregnant and your parents or maybe your in-laws are ecstatic and maybe they said something like, we weren't sure we would ever get to be grandparents, right? But that is a reflection of their fears, not something that you have done wrong or anything like that. We don't hear about how other people feel like they're worthless because they don't have children yet, or they have an infertility diagnosis, or because IVF or fertility treatments have not yet been successful for them. We do get a lot of trauma dumping, which is understandable because most people don't know how to communicate their heart, their experience, their struggle without trauma dumping. But that is and can sometimes be very harmful to people who are prone to taking on the feelings and experiences of others when that is not your responsibility at all, right? So we need to be aware of that because of our brain's negativity bias combined with highly curated online messaging can really reinforce the belief that we're isolated or our belief that we're the only ones that is experiencing this, we're the only ones that have thought this, and that nobody understands. We have to be aware of that belief system because it's not accurate and it's not helpful, right? It only further isolates you. What is true is, and something I can speak of for my coaching experience and the community that I curate, is that we are all shapes and sizes of infertility, IVF experiences, all kinds of mental health challenges happening or have happened, romantic or other relationship challenges, things said to us that could reasonably get someone throat punched if said to the wrong man, the wrong person, whatever. There are so many things that people aren't really talking about their friends or sharing on social media, but because I'm the one coaching people, they're being very vulnerable with me, right? They're being very honest with me. And I can assure you that most people's experiences, most people's real experiences, they're not a fairy tale experience by any stretch of the imagination. There have been amazing things about it, but there are also some not amazing things about it. There are all kinds of experiences. We just don't typically talk about them in a public setting. And I don't think anybody's family planning journey, no matter how easy it seemed, is perfect. Nor is it as easy as it seems. I think it's super easy after having a baby to only talk about the things being amazing after your journey has ended, right? To kind of put them or the baby on this pedestal. We do this a lot, and rather, whether we're intentional or not, it minimizes the realness of your experience, the validity of your experience, the rawness of what actually happened and what was actually going on. And so what I want you to know is that if you're feeling alone because you're not yet a mom or haven't had another baby and you're comparing yourself to your friends, your family, or your colleagues and their family planning journey or their family planning experience, it's not because there is something wrong with you. It's a function of your thinking, of your perception of the situation. You do not have all of the information. I've talked a little bit before about the difference between playing poker and playing chess. And when we're talking about people and talking to people and thinking about other people's experiences or our experiences, oftentimes we think we're playing chess, like we have all of the information in front of our eyes. We're really playing poker. We only have the information that's right in front of us, right? And I think that that is such an important thing to remember, that you do not have all of the information. If someone says something asinine, you don't know if they're feeling super uncomfortable and they just thought that they would say this and it could be helpful, right? And I think that when we can understand that we're playing poker and we're not playing chess, that creates a level of compassion for you, as well as the person that you're thinking of or talking with or whatever, right? And so I want you to get in the habit of asking, like, is this real or is this perceived? Like, am I thinking about this in a very specific way? Or if I put this in front of a jury of my peers, would they come to the exact same conclusion, right? Because chances are, if your brain is being hypersensitive to negativity, to that bias, and perhaps worsened by the fact that most people aren't being super honest about the realness of their experiences. And what I think and what I have experienced when I work with women is that I can help with a lot of those surface things, right? But the deep work, the really powerful work, the stuff that makes you feel like you lost like 100 pounds of emotional baggage requires a level of vulnerability and honesty that only exists when you're in the right community. When you are surrounded by women who are willing to love you for whatever, not just because you're amazing, because you are, but accepting that you are amazing and also you are a very flawed human. It gives you the ability to talk about what is real for you, what is actually going on in your life, your body, your mind. That the thing that you have been shaming yourself for can come to light. And because it can come to light, we can unchain it. We can unburden ourselves with it. And that only happens when you believe that it's not just you, right? So of course, my hope is always that you're going to come to my group coaching program, my IVF This group coaching program, because that's where I do that work, right? That's where that community is built. And I know it to be a very welcoming, beautiful environment for that type of support. And also, if you don't want to do that and you do want help, you can find support. I still do one-on-one coaching. There are a lot of coaches out there around IVF and mindset, therapy, a support group, an IVF buddy. You're going to need a community that doesn't try to make it all roses, that doesn't expect you to be perfect. And that is a place where you can feel comfortable being vulnerable and talking about what's actually going on so that you can unshame it. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to make it a word, that you're going to unshame it and let go of that emotional weight that you're carrying around. We can love our brain and know that it's not the most helpful thing all of the time, right? We love it. We love our brains, our beautiful, beautiful brains, and they're trying to keep us alive. These brains, especially that old part of our brain, always scanning the environment for danger, always trying to keep us safe, right? From physical or psychological danger. So if you're feeling isolated, it might just be partially because your brain is scanning the environment, looking for danger. Also be wary of what you see on social media and those surface level conversations that are happening among the people that know you or that you know. There might be more to it. Remind yourself that you are always more and that there is nothing wrong with you if you haven't had any of the amazing, rosy, fantastic experiences that you see plastered on social media, right? There are amazing moments, but they're not all amazing. And you are not alone in that. And that is what I have for you this week. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of IVF This. If you like what you've heard, click subscribe and follow to make sure you don't miss an episode. And if you want to learn more, head over to www.ivfthiscoaching.com to learn how to work together.